Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. It is ICR Daredevil and welcome back to the TNA What If series in not TEW 2020 but instead TEW 9 because this is the first episode of TEW or the TNA series in TEW 9. We're going to dive into things on the road to Slammiversary and I'll kind of go over a few things at the end of the episode like we've, like we did in the other series. So, we're in front of 7,430 people at the Pensacola Bay Center in Pensacola, Florida. With MVP arriving to the arena for tonight's show, and he gets greeted by the smiling face of CR Daredevil, one of the two on-screen authority figures here in TNA. MVP groans and says wants to know what Daredevil wants. Daredevil says that he's actually looking for his client, the world champion Shelton Benjamin. MVP says that Shelton isn't here yet and wasn't planning on being here at all tonight. But I tell MVP, I'm like, well, you better get Shelton on the phone and get him here. Because tonight he's in the main event here on Impact. MVP starts to get annoyed. And he's like, all right, well, what's the match? What am I telling him to prepare for? And that's when we're like, oh, well, don't worry. Benjamin's going to have probably a little bit easy, in theory, he might have a little bit easier of a night. He's not in a singles match. He's in a tag team matchup. And he's teaming up with his fellow Beatdown crew member, D'Angelo Dinero. And MVP's like, okay, well, who are they facing then? And Daredevil was like, oh, just a little-known tag team that just happens to be the former TNA World Tag Team Champions themselves, the Briscoes. MVP not liking this at all. Starts to protest, but I just wave at him and walk off with MVP following behind protesting about the match. So, tonight's main event, D'Angelo Dinero and Shelton Benjamin versus the Briscoes. That should be a hell of a match. There is, I think it's going to be a good matchup. And there's going to be some somewhat storyline involved with it. So, this guy, it only got a 46. That's fine. Our opening contest gets a 69 rating, though. Very nice rating. As the American Wolves defeat the All Night Express in 10-17 when Davey Richards pins Rhett Titus with a shooting star press. I didn't realize that Davey Richards was doing shooting star presses, but okay. He was head and shouldered by everyone. He had a 78. Eddie Edwards had a 68. Kenny King had a 49, and Rhett Titus had a 43. So, a little kind of a cool thing. And I thought about going and trying to edit it in some way, but I didn't know how to exactly, and I didn't want to cheese it and all that. But if you remember from the previous episodes, All Night Express and Shaul Guerrero were all three carrying injuries that they were working through. When we transferred to the new game, for some reason those injuries were just magically healed up. I don't know. Marshall Von Erich is still injured, but those three were just magically healed. I didn't do anything to it. I just transferred the save database over from that game, from the previous game to this game, and it just magically healed their injuries. So they're healed now. So you're going to be seeing them probably a little bit more frequently in the ring, especially since, as you see their performances are still a little on the lower side. Not doing too great with the House of Truth there, but they try to put up a fight here against the Wolves, but the Wolves get the victory here to a 69. Very nice rated matchup to open up Impact. Then, Daredevil's featured back in his office with Maria Kanellis. Both of them are back there in the office. This got a 49. I mean, again, any segments involving yours truly is going to be a little on the low side for the time being, but we're slowly building them up. After all, these used to get 30s, and now this almost got a 50. But we announced that next week on Impact, there's going to be a fatal four-way matchup to determine who faces Jay Lethal for the X Division Championship at Slammiversary. It's going to feature Adam Cole, the former X Division champion himself, Kazarian, House of Truth member Rhino, and the man that Jay Lethal's been having issues with recently, Jeff Hardy. Because, of course, we don't have even though it seems like we're heading towards Lethal versus Hardy at Slammiversary, we don't have a definitive match yet. So this will be the definitive match. So that'll be interesting. Cole and Kazarian have been having a little bit of a feud, along with their tag team, along with their allies, Christopher Daniels and Roderick Strong. So that'll, kind of pair it up with that. And I'm sure the House of Truth will want Rhino to do what they can to prevent Jeff Hardy from winning the matchup. But will they actually want Rhino to win? So that way it would be a match against House of Truth members. We'll have to see. Maria then steps forward. Well, not steps forward, but she then speaks up and says that that we know the Knockouts title matchup at Slammiversary. It's going to be Gail Kim challenging Velvet Sky for the Knockouts title. But she wants to make sure that the Knockouts tag team titles are defended at that show as well. So she says that next week it's going to be the former champions, because we're not handing out rematches with that. So next week it's going to be the former champions, Io and Mio Shirai, the Sexy Purple Thunder sisters, taking on another set of sisters, another set of, well, quote-unquote sisters, in the Lucha Sisters, Leva Bates and Mia Yim. So interesting matchup for next week there as well. We'll get Io Mio Shirai versus Leva Bates and Mia Yim to determine who faces Cheerleader Melissa and Kana for the Knockouts Tag Team titles at Slammiversary. The Knockouts Tag Team title match at Slammiversary will probably be on the pre-show, but it'll be fun. So, 49. Lost heat for a few storylines, but I'm not too worried about it because we can make that up. Another tag team match. Be prepared for some tag team matches here tonight, play. As the Strong Style Thugs defeat the Bravado Brothers in 636 when Eddie Kingston pins Lance Bravado with Blackout Lariat. 61 reign for the match. 65 from Homicide, 62 from Kingston, 41 from Lance, and 35 from Harlem. Yeah, it was just basically Strong Style Thugs looking strong, beating their opponents in about 6.5 minutes. I don't really have a whole lot for them heading into Slammiversary. Well, as of right now, I don't have a whole lot for them. But we'll kind of be seeing what happens with that. Then we get a 52 rated segment. These angles aren't doing too hot today, but that's all right. Christy Hemmings backstage with Daphne and one of her clients, Abyss. Of course, 2 members of the Decay. Christy asks Daphne about Abyss's thoughts regarding last week about Colt Cabana showing up and getting into a fight with Abyss. Daphne says that she's not sure why Colt Cabana seems to have this issue with Abyss. It's not Abyss's fault that his tag team partner, Jimmy Jacobs, is fragile enough to be broken after being put through a table. It's not Abyss's fault that Colt Cabana could get the job done against Jay Lethal for the X Division Championship over the last few months either. Colt's got some misdirected anger that he probably needs to see a therapist for, because he doesn't want to battle with the monster Abyss. Otherwise, he will end up in a bed in the same hospital room as his tag partner. 52 rating, as Daphne makes it clear that Colt Cabana should stay away from Abyss, otherwise Abyss is going to put him in the hospital. Daphne being very underwhelming is very disappointed for this, and not because, I feel like she shouldn't have been considered very underwhelming. I'm also very surprised that out of this, Christy Hemme wasn't listed as being very underwhelming, so it looks like we've built Christy up pretty decently. But, yeah, I feel like Daphne's promo stuff is about on the same level as Christy's at this point, it feels like, so I don't know why she was very underwhelming, but whatever. Nevertheless, it gets to 52, as Daphne makes it clear that Colt Cabana should be staying away from Abyss at this point. Oof. This match did not do well. And that kind of sucks, because there was a storyline attached to it. But they didn't have much heat and terrible wrestling. ODB defeats Casey Cassidy in 719 by pinfall to TKO. 48 rating for the match. 48 from ODB, 29 from Cassidy, because they don't seem to click and made for an awkward bout. Mickey James joined the commentary table. And was putting down ODB, but left when ODB hit the TKO, so it was one of those things that she didn't stick around to watch the pinfall. She just walked off. But there you go, ODB getting more momentum ahead of whatever potential battle ends up happening between her and Mickey James in the future. We'll have to see what ends up happening there, but there's that. Also, so I had to transfer because obviously in previous episodes we've had it where Mike Tenay and Jeremy Borash had pretty good chemistry when calling matches together. So I had to set that up in this game because I, didn't want it to do that over. I didn't do anything with Taz and Jeremy Borash. So it's cool to know that Taz and Jeremy Borash work extremely well together at the commentary as well. So that's good to know. That one is new to the game. That one was new when we started this. So it's good to know that we now have two, and maybe I missed it on the previous matches, but it's good to know that we now have two good chemistries for our tag team, for our commentary table. Which, in case I didn't bring it up, even though we've been running the same commentary team since the start of the save, honestly, it's Mike Tenay, Taz, and Jeremy Borash at the commentary table. We got Christy Hemme standing by backstage with Madison Rayne. He's got 56. That's not bad. Madison Rayne talks about being disappointed not having a match for Slammiversary at this point. You know, we got the Knockouts title match already. Knockouts tag team title match will be determined after next week, and she's not a part of either that. You know, that she doesn't really have anybody she's feuding with right now. So she says that she's going to put herself on the card regardless. So she's issuing an open challenge right here and right now for Slammiversary. She says anyone who wants to step up to the former TNA Knockouts champion, she will be waiting. So Madison Rayne having an open challenge for Slammiversary. Who is going to answer the challenge? We're not sure, but we'll have to find out when we get to that point, which I think is in 3 weeks' time. I probably should have looked at that ahead of time. I know it's sometime here in June 2015, but I can't remember if it's 3 weeks or 4 weeks from now. Bobby Roode then comes out to the ring and says that the talk is about Slammiversary, because that's the next pay-per-view, but he's focused on what comes after Slammiversary, the Bound for Glory series. He wasn't in it last year because he was wasting his time with that worthless former partner of his, going after the tag team titles and losing. So he says he's going to be in this year's Bound for Glory series and he's going to win the whole damn thing. So tonight, he's issuing an open challenge to anyone in the back because it doesn't matter who it is. Roode's going to win and get more momentum ahead of the Bound for Glory series. Answering the challenge is none other than Mike Bennett. And in a 69 rated matchup, nice rating, Bobby Roode defeats Mike Bennett in 12-19 by pinfall to payoff. 70 from Roode, 47 from Mike Bennett. So not too bad, actually. Bennett's slowly getting better as this series has been going on. He's been mostly used on Explosion, but he's been popping up here on Impact here and there. It's good to see that he's slowly starting to get better. 69 rating, but yeah, Bobby Roode getting the victory. This was kind of built up as one of those things where like Bennett kept kicking out of things. Like Roode was getting cocky with his covers, and Bennett would kick out, and Roode would be like, "The hell? Like, why is this kid kicking out?" kind of thing. Like he'd be surprised by it. That's why I kind of went 12 minutes. But, 69 rating there, as we'll see if Bobby Roode can keep getting the momentum he wants. And at the same time, we'll have to see if he's actually going to even be in the Bound for Glory series. It's going to be up to, the board of directors, as well as Daredevil and Maria will have a say in who's in both of those series as well. And I guess technically Dixie will probably have a little bit of a say. She doesn't really have much authority anymore, being the owner, based off of what the board of directors set up at the start of the save. But she could still technically have some say. So wouldn't be surprised if a certain nephew of hers ends up in the Bound for Glory series. Nevertheless, we go backstage. And Gail Kim and Serena Deeb are standing by. Gail says that she heard what Velvet had to say last week, and it honestly sounds like Velvet is scared of Gail. Gail's a former 3-time Knockouts champion, including being the first ever champion. So she knows a thing or two about being the champion and having everyone targeting you. And it seems like Velvet's confidence is starting to waver, knowing that she has to face Gail Kim at Slammiversary. Meanwhile, Gail is more focused than ever and plans to become a 4-time champion at that pay-per-view. Serena then speaks up and says that she knows that Angelina Love will try to get involved somehow at the pay-per-view. And, she could sit there and wait and show up and fight off Love and have a whole bit of chaos on the back, on the outside. Or she could do something a little different. So she went and she talked to Maria about a way to solve that problem. Next week on Impact, it'll be Angelina Love versus Serena Deeb. And if Serena Deeb wins, then Angelina Love will be banned from the ringside, or just the whole, like, she'll be banned from getting involved in that match whatsoever. So there you go. Next week on Impact, Serena Deeb versus Angelina Love. And if Deeb wins, then Angelina Love can't get involved in the Knockouts title match at Slammiversary. Of course, it's kind of believed that Deeb hadn't planned on getting involved unless Love got involved, because she wanted to respect Gail being able to try to do it on her own against Velvet Sky. So we'll have to see what ends up happening next week with that. Another tag team action. Another tag team match, that is. 68 rating. Good stuff. As Kendrick and London defeat Forever Hooligan in 9:36 when Paul London pinned Alex Kozlov with a get well soon. During the matchup, Alex Shelley ran down and tried to interfere in the match, but he accidentally ended up pinning Alex Kozlov instead of Paul London. Paul London carried the matchup. 68 rating. London had a 71. Good God. Kendrick had a 54. Rocky with a 51. Kozlov with a 44. Gained heat for the storyline there. So Shelley tried to screw over the number one contenders for their for the Motor City Machine Guns tag titles at Slammiversary, but it backfired, and he just helped them get more momentum ahead of that title match. Then we have a pre-taped promo where James Storm is talking about Magnus. Says that Magnus tried claiming that no one cares about Storm's recent issues, and he needs to clarify something. A few weeks ago when he was sitting there talking about his issues, he was never looking for sympathy in the first place. Cowboy doesn't want or need anybody's pity. He's a fighter, and he was making it clear that his recent issues is going to lead to him kicking more ass and getting back on track. Thankfully, he didn't have to go looking for a fight because a jackass like Magnus stepped up to get his teeth knocked down his throat. So Magnus, he says, when you want to do the damn thing, Cowboy James Storm will be ready and waiting. Sorry about your damn luck. So 59 there. As James Storm has made it clear he wants to fight with Magnus. We'll have to see when that ends up happening, if it does, for sure. Can we stop having matches that don't click? Well, Brawl that had a decent reaction from the crowd, but subpar wrestling. Cheerleader Melissa defeats Portia Perez in 8:39 by pinfall to Kudo Driver. This was kind of following up on the... I think they had that recent match. Or am I remembering something wrong? I'm pretty sure they had a recent match where it was Melissa and Kana versus the Canadian Ninjas. So this is kind of following up on it. Portia wanted to get a little bit of revenge against Melissa. And so they ended up having a bit of a kind of brawlish match here. Which got a 50 rating, which isn't terrible, but because they didn't seem to click, that hurt the rating for it. But Melissa gets the victory over Perez in 8:39 by pinfall with Kudo Driver. Kind of helping solidify that the Canadian Ninjas are not getting a title shot anytime in the near future. Maybe it's been like a month or so since I'm pretty sure I've had those two teams fight. If not, then I just made up something in my head. Either way, Melissa gets the victory there. Then our main event gets a 73 rating, as in a good back and forth matchup that goes almost 15 minutes, the former tag team champions are defeated by D'Angelo De Niro and the world champion himself, Shelton Benjamin, when Benjamin pinned Mark Briscoe with the pay dirt. 73 rating. Benjamin carried the matchup. He had an 88. Good God. De Niro with a 73. Mark with a 67. And Jay with a 69. Great wrestling for sure. Very strong main event for the show. And after the main event, nice. I was a little worried about this, but I got a little bit of a beef with this too, but I'm going to explain the angle first. Shelton Benjamin and D'Angelo De Niro are celebrating their victory when AJ Styles comes out from the back and gets in the ring. De Niro looks like he's getting ready for a fight, but Benjamin just kind of puts a hand out, just be like, hey, don't do anything. Benjamin and Styles then have a stare down to end Impact, with Benjamin raising the TNA World Heavyweight Championship in the air, and Styles looking at it for a second before looking back at him, kind of teasing the match to happen at Slammiversary in the main event. So my slight bit of an issue with this, as you saw with this, reading this out, it's clear that this should be a thing where you put it only on a non-speaking role. There wasn't any words being exchanged. There was just, it was just actions happening. But there wasn't like fighting actions, it was just actions happening. So I try to book it as such in this game. I like this game so far. I really do. I'm really enjoying a lot of the new features and all that kind of stuff. But I tried booking it as such in this game. I tried booking it where I put all three of them on a non-speaking role. And I got a warning that came up that said it was going to be penalized because it didn't feel like there was anything going on. Now, in theory, when you look at this angle. That should be how you would book it. They're not saying anything. They're not working the crowd. They're not doing any sort of promo. They're not talking at all. They're just having a stare down. But apparently if you do it as a stare down in the game, because you can do like a quick fill angle, and if you do the stare down version, it considers it working the crowd. And working the crowd is based off of your microphone and charisma, or your entertainment and charisma. It's based off the idea that you're talking about the crowd, either getting them behind you, getting them to cheer for you, or getting them to boo for you was the idea. So that doesn't make any sense. Why would there be a penalty for having nobody speak? I get in the previous games where if you rated everybody on charisma, you couldn't go more than 4, or on overness, you couldn't do more than 4 minutes without the crowd being like, there's not enough interesting stuff going on. But like, I even tried to set this up, because I think I ended up setting this up as like a 3-minute angle. And I even tried to set up as like a 2 or 3 minute angle just to see if, maybe it's because the game is trying to say that I'm booking it for too long. No. I even put it as a 2-minute angle, and it said that it was going to be penalized because there wasn't anything going on. And I was like, okay. So I had to book it as them working the crowd, because for some reason they are, despite the fact that they're not talking, they're working the crowd, I guess. I don't know. It's a minor thing, but it's kind of annoying, because it's like there are going to be angles where they're just having a stare down, and it's not really working the crowd, because working the crowd is based off of a worker's entertainment skills, and they're not speaking. Now, if working the crowd was just based off your charisma skill, that's fine. But it's like charisma and entertainment, and it's like, well, they're not speaking though. They're just staring each other down. And I guess technically I could have done dramatic acting, but like, that just feels weird to do that at the same time. So I don't know, just a minor little grief. Nevertheless, the show gets a 73. Oof. It lost its popularity in 12 regions. Not good. Not good. Yeah, this show did a little bit weaker than I would have liked. To be fair, in a little bit of a defense, some of the matches were booked the way they were because, again, with it being transferred from the previous game to the new game, half of my roster had fatigue. And I was like, I don't want to injure people. So I couldn't use like half of my roster. But, it is what it is. It is what it is. We'll bounce back. I'm not too worried about it. Financial report, we still made $129,000. So I'll take that. Yeah, we lost popularity in America, and we lost popularity in a few places in Canada. But we did get a slight bit of popularity increase in Central Europe, New Zealand, and a couple of Japanese regions. So that's kind of cool, I suppose. So there's that. There is that. Let's let this go and do its loading thing, and then we'll kind of go over a few things really quick before we end the episode. So, we're still building this Slammiversary at this point. Styles and Benjamin having a bit of a stare down. We have 3 matches announced for next week's Impact. Serena Deeb versus Angelina Love, where if Serena Deeb wins, then Angelina Love is banned from being involved in that match at Slammiversary. We also have the Knockouts Tag Team title number 1 contendership match. The Lucha Sisters taking on the Sexy Purple Thunder Sisters. And we have the Fatal 4-Way number 1 contendership match for the X Division Championship. Jeff Hardy, Rhino, Adam Cole, and Kazarian. So I'll have to see how that plays out. Why did that not? Alright. It did not save. Yes, okay. Anyway. Ratings for the night. 1.3 million people watching. NXT only had 219,000 people watching with a 54 rating, as Tyler Breeze and Nick Dinsmore defeated the Mega Men. Alright. Team Crime are the new NXT Tag Team Champions, beating the Revival. That's Baron Corbin in English. So there's that. Ring of Honor got a 53. Saw Delirious and Michael Elgin defeating Fire Ant and Bully Ray in the main event. That sounds like something. FIP had a 56. Saw Mr. Anderson defeating Phil Shatter and D'Lo Brown in the main event. So there is that as well. Let us go and look at a couple things here real quick. First off, Serena Deeb is apparently a hot property. Good to know. ACH is arguing with people backstage at ROH. Elias and The Miz as a feud will be interesting. So will Brock and Bryan, apparently. So will Bray and Alberto. And Randy Orton and Christian. Just one more match. Alright, so I have to throw this up because there is a spoiler. Oh, I guess it's not on here. Never mind. You don't have to worry about that. Alright, so Slammiversary is in 23 days in game. So, yeah, 3 weeks from now. There'll be 3 more impacts, and then it'll be Slammiversary. So, booking team. As of right now, I'm staying as the single booker. With this series, I might actually consider adding somebody. Because, okay, so the WCW series, there's not really anybody with booking skill. And with the AEW one, I think there's only maybe one other person who has booking skill in the company. I don't remember for sure. But with this one, there is 6 people I could add to the booking team. Abyss, Al Snow, Chris Hero, Daphne, Hector Guerrero, and Jeremy Borash. You do get a bonus for booking by yourself, but you also get a bonus if you have somebody with you and you two like are well, like you guys get along well and all that stuff. So I don't know. I might actually add somebody to it. I don't know for sure. It probably wouldn't be Hero and Daphne, even though it would be awesome to have them there because their booking skills are kind of low and they'd only have like a balanced or neutral personality. If I'm going to add somebody to it, I'm going to want somebody who has a good personality type because that means that it's a better chance that they'll like work well with me on the booking staff and it'll be better. So there's Hector Guerrero, who has a people personality, Jeremy Borash, Al Snow, and Abyss. Honestly, right now, and I'll let you, the viewers out there, know if I end up doing it. But if I do end up adding anybody to the booking team, it'll probably be Borash. He has a 53 booking skill, which will help out with getting the creative energy that you need for stuff. And he's got the people personality type. So it would probably be Borash if I add anybody to it, but I just haven't decided yet. So we'll see about that. But our inner circle, we do have a few people in the inner circle. So, as you see, our locker room leaders, we have Kurt Angle and Gail Kim. I figured those were 2 pretty good locker room leaders, especially for TNA in 2015. No Chief Enforcers yet. I think it's just like... Yeah, it's just Kurt Angle that we could put in the role, and I didn't really feel like putting Kurt in a bunch of roles right now, so we're holding off for the time being. Head of Talent Relations, we don't have anybody. We do have Morale Officer, though. We had Christopher Daniels as our Morale Officer. He's got people personality, so that's helpful. Of course, the Morale Officer is helping lessen the penalties of anybody who's feeling isolated, increase the chance of positive events happening, and their own positive impact on the backstage area is amplified. And all we have to do is just make sure that he stays happy and that he doesn't clash with people who's unhappy or has negative personalities. So, yeah, Daniels is one of our like most liked people in the company. He's got, all of these going on here, which to be fair, not all of those are with us, but like he's got the mentorship with Paul London. He's got the, obviously the him and AJ get along well. So does him and Joe. So does him and Kazarian. So, I mean, I feel like that was a smart idea for a morale officer. Senior road agent is Al Snow. He's the best road agent that we have in our company right now. Senior referee, we don't have one yet because I'm having to do something really quick. So, in the previous game, Earl Hebner was just like the day before I switched it over, like the day or two before I switched it over in game. Earl Hebner was set to retire from the wrestling business. So I don't want to put him as my senior referee and then have to replace him in a few months when he all of a sudden is like, hey, I'm going to be leaving the business. So I'm leaving it open for the time being to see how long he lasts. When he does retire, like if he decides all of a sudden he's going to retire, then I'll focus on one of our other 4 to make them the senior referee. Our heads men trainer is Jerry Lynn. There's only 2 potential students right now for him to train, and one of them is injured because it's only Von Erichs that he's training. But you know, it's at least it's something. And if we hire anybody else who's inexperienced, then he can help out with that. And Mickey James is our head women's trainer. She has 6 potential students for her to train. So she's been training some people before our shows as well. So that's been helpful there. But there you go. There is that happening there. You saw Rockstar Spud had morale issues, by the way. He's angry because he got blamed for that injury that happened at Victory Road. So that's his issue right now. Is him injuring Kenny King is a whole thing right now. But anyway, that's going to do it for this episode. So thank you all for watching. Definitely appreciate it. Next week on Impact, we've got 3 matches announced already. Plus, I'm sure we're going to get some more continuation in our storylines heading into Slammiversary. So thank you all, and we will catch you in the next video.